Hey guys, it's Brant, and I'm back with another The Panel Has Spoken video. And today we're back to show the results and reveal the results of what you guys voted on for Unmasked. And today I have my trusty partner in crime, Rick, with me, and have a guest panel member, John B. Goode, who is joining us because he has a little bit of a story, his own story about Unmasked. And I love hearing panel members' stories. So, John, first off, before we get started on anything, tell us a little bit about your background and your history with Unmasked.
Sure. Well, I was born in '74, the year that Kiss basically took off. I had an older brother that was 12 years older than me, and he had pretty much all the albums. And I remember just being 3 years old. I can remember being 3 years old and just staring at those album covers, listening to Kiss in his bedroom. Um, in 1980, I was, I think, 6 years old, and my brother took me to Kleinhand's music store in Buffalo, New York. And I remember he purchased the Unmasked album. I was with him, and we were thinking, both of us, that you open up the gatefold and you're going to see Peter, Ace, Gene, and Paul without their makeup for the first time ever. I mean, because back then there was no internet. I mean, it was just word of mouth. So my brother had it in his head that he's going to open that album and you're going to see Peter and Ace, Gene, and Paul without the makeup. And I remember we didn't even make it. I think we got out of the store, sat down in like a food court or something, opened it up, and we were like, oh, geez, they tricked us, But I just remember that story of doing that. And my brother, shortly after that, probably a few months after that, he got involved with a girlfriend that was in this Christian youth organization. And he pretty much threw out all his Kiss records. They had a bonfire and burned them all. And at 6 years old, I remember staring at the pile of records, and I'm like, I gotta take at least one of them. So I took out Love Gun, threw it under my bed or something, and I still have that album to this day.
Awesome. That's awesome.
With the Love Gun too.
Save the Love Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, what about you?
This was actually my very first piece of Kiss merch ever. I didn't know that the poster existed. I was probably 19 at the time. This is in the late 80s. And I didn't know the poster existed, and I bought the record at a antique store for $7, and walking back to my car, pulled out that poster, and my jaw hit the ground. I knew the poster existed because of Exposed. You can see it in the background in Paul's living room. And but I didn't know it came in a record. I was brand new into this whole collecting Kiss thing and being a fan. So it was huge to me. It almost felt like I got to experience what little kids experienced in 1980. And I love this record. It's bubblegum fun. I love it. It's in my top 5.
All right. My experience with Unmasked, of course, I was 11 when Unmasked came out. And this was an album that, for some reason or another, remember I always tell the story about my sister. Without going into too much detail about our family history and everything, that my sister actually was my half sister and she lived with my aunt at the time. And I remember she had a little bit of competitive edge, and her family had a little bit more money. So during this time, she was really collecting Kiss memorabilia, and she just had all kinds of stuff that I didn't have. I had a single mom raising 2 boys. So she could only do so much. And so I remember my sister got Unmasked before I did. And I remember going over to her house. So I'd go over there and spend the weekends with my sister and my aunt. And I remember looking at Unmasked. And I remember thinking the same thing, John, that holy crap, they're going to take their makeup off. And I knew that wasn't on the cover, so I was thinking it had to be something on the inside. And what I saw in my head, for some reason, was that Kiss was they were going to pull a fast one somehow, but they were going to be unmasked, but it wasn't going to be an actual photo of them. What I expected, and this is what I saw, was you see the picture on the bottom of the album cover where they've took their masks off. I think it's funny that they portrayed them as masks. Yeah. And Gene had his finger sticking through the hole of his mask like a tongue. I always thought that was cool. But I thought you were going to open up the poster, and the poster was going to be a drawing of them without makeup. So you really didn't see them without makeup, but it was still a drawing of them with 4 dudes without makeup. Of course, it wasn't. As far as I remember being slightly disappointed in this album after Dynasty. I was hoping for another Dynasty, and there's some Dynasty-esque songs on here. There's also some could have been solo album leftover songs on here, and we'll get into those as we go. That I'll share my thoughts on that. But kind of a weird thing that was going on with me at this time while I was 11 years old. You guys are both boys, both guys. You know about 11 years old what starts happening to a kid. It's the hormones start. If they haven't started already, the hormones start. And for some reason, although Kiss has had many albums with sexual innuendos in it, Love Gun, and just all these, Plaster Caster, Put Your Hand in My Pocket, Grab Onto My Rocket, all kinds of stuff. I guess it was because I was kind of starting to come of age. This is the first real sexual Kiss album, the Kiss album that seemed sexual to me. And I just remember thinking there's so much sex and sexual suggestive images in the songs on this album. Naked City. I remember I used to, whenever I saw the title and I heard Naked City, that's the first song I wanted to listen to. And I just remember She's So European. That's a very erotic song. She makes love on a brass bed because her parents are still awake. I mean, just those lines like that just supercharged these hormones that I had going on inside of me. So this album always seemed, it's my first Kiss album that I viewed as a sexual Kiss album, even though it wasn't. So that's just weird. That's just my little perverted little Brant story about this album. So this album's like soft porn for me. When I listen to it, I get taken back to the 11 years old, fantasizing about some girl in class that I probably would have had a crush on. I remember about this time in school, I got detention because I wrote a letter to a girl asking her if she was a virgin. And
oh boy.
This is awesome. It's just, like I said, I feel myself, look how red I am. This is like confessional here for me. This is my dirty Kiss album. This is my, but still there isn't a song on this album that I don't like. There are some that I like a whole lot better than others, and like previous albums in this era, my top 5 or 6 could all be number ones. But I had no idea how the panel was going to pick on this, and so I basically just kind of predicted, almost kind of lined up with what I felt, and I felt well, maybe I'm a general barometer of how the Kiss community feels. And so we'll see if I was right or not. We'll see if we were all right or not. So we'll go ahead and get into it.
I got at least 3 picks that I was pretty much the same as the panel, So it's going to be interesting how this goes.
I never look at any panel people prior to doing this. Like I see it, they'll pop up on my phone, and I hide them because I don't want to go in knowing like what people are thinking.
And I've said before, my list and my predictions, I usually have them made before I even put the post out. Because I've usually listened to that album. Like right now, this past week, I've been listening to The Elder. Because I'm getting ready for The Elder. and the Elder Post will be hitting about the time this video hits. And Elder Post to get your list in for the Elder Post or for the Elder panel. So, but yeah, usually the week prior, I'm already listening to it, digesting it, writing my list down, writing it down again, going back and watching one of my old review videos and seeing how I felt then. And it's crazy to see how I changed just in a year. So, so let's talk about the panel. 85 on this panel, still a strong showing for these early 80s albums. Actually quite surprising and very nice. I'm very happy to see. Kind of curious to see what the Elder is going to bring out, because I know the Elder is kind of a cult favorite. But so let's talk about these 85 panel members. We have myself and Rick and John. And then from Facebook, Mark Hilliard, Frederick Scalen, Ray Kelly. And Frederick, I believe, is from Sweden. I talked with him a little bit in private messages. Then Instagram, Kiss Posters, which you should check out Kiss Posters on Instagram. They show some pretty cool Kiss posters. AJ Zetro, our boy Aaron, Jay Spence Metal, Gregory Pegg, Tony P, Sweet Dan. Sweet Dan got in on this one.
Finally.
Dan, Rick's friend Dan that he always talks about.
Okay.
Twitter, we had Where's Drago, Darren Helliwell, Bill Sharp, Eric Mosiu, Tom Dust, Jack Skellington, Tony Rod, Dave Cranston, David King, Sam Loomis, Sean DeHaan, Jeff Wyatt, Zim, Dave Kenny. We had Chris from Pot of Thunder weigh in on this one, and we really appreciate that. Everybody check out Pot of Thunder. Really good podcast. Ace Van Deuce, John Schaefer, Vincent Marone, author, Colin Paradine, Julian Davies, D88 Racing, John Gross, Exile on My Street, Horror Gal Susan. She has an awesome horror channel. Check her out. Aladio, Steve, Paul Teplius, Matthew Chwat, Hank DeGraff, Party Man, and then from YouTube, Emily Graziano, Gulamine Chabason, That Toy Bonnie Guy, Brady McCatherine, Sandy Graziano, Super Kiss 1200, Jeremy Kimona, Demetrius K, good to see Demetrius back, Dwight Manning, Young and Wasted, Trevor Bullock, John SB, Nina K, Perpetual Art, Travis Mulgard, Darklight, Kiss Crazy 80, John Howard, and Kiss Crazy 80, really cool magazine, really cool posts, videos he's got, Rick. I saw you put up the first Kiss centerfold, and I went over and checked out some of his other videos. He's got some. He's just getting started, but he's got some good stuff over there already. Mm-hmm. John Howard, Les Wadley, Orville Dunworth, John O, Jay Lee, Matthew Smith, Keith Nedu, Paul Bartolino, George Doley, Jay Reed, Joel Pegg, Mikhail D, Mark Stewart, Brian Stacy, Tom S, 3SV, 1333, Greek Freak, Two Gay Dads, Vapor Man, Aiden Pro Dalton, Kiss Hard Rock Metalhead, or Kiss Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, Sublime 130, Indie Cult 777, and Guitar Man. So that is our panel, guys, for Unmasked. A very nice, impressive panel indeed. Mm-hmm. And I've counted them up, and I've crunched the numbers, and we have 11 tracks on this album. So we're going to get started with number 11. So, John, since you're the guest, what did you predict that the panel was going to choose for number 11?
My panel prediction for number 11 is What Makes the World Go Round.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think it's the weakest song too. But that's what I predict. The panel will predict or pick.
I said for number 11, I said Easy as It Seems.
Okay. And I predicted, I was kind of in the frame of mind as John. I was kind of going back and forth between You're All That I Want, What Makes the World Go Round. I kind of thought, to me, those are kind of, I always felt was kind of the weakest on the album. I know that not everybody agrees with me, but so I predicted that What Makes the World Go Round would be the what the panel would pick for 11. What the panel actually picked for 11 with 331 points is You're All That I Want. You're All That I Want. 4 panelists, Where's Drago, John Schaefer, Gulamine Chabason, and Super Kiss 1200 picked You're All That I Want as their favorite song on the album. And that just goes to show you that Kiss makes songs that are for everybody. Even if it's a song that we don't like, there's a song that song, somebody else loves it. And for me, I picked this as my number 11 as well. And because to me, it's the last track on the album, and it feels like a last track type thing. It's got a good solo in it, and I kind of like how Gene sings on this one, but it's just, I don't know, it just never really connected with me. So I choose this a number 11 for me. What about you, John? Where do you choose You're All That I Want for you?
I chose You're All That I Want as number 10. It's just, to me, it suffers from, like a lot of songs in this. I think there was just way too much keyboard, I think Vinnie Poncia just added way too much keyboard. I mean, keyboard's okay to a certain extent, but I think he just went a little bit nuts with the keyboard.
I chose this at number 4. I ranked it pretty high. To me, this is a Gene solo song. It's got that feel to it. And what you mentioned, John, there's a panel in the Kiss prehistory comic where Paul is talking to Vinnie Poncia, and granted, this is a comic book, but he says, "You made this album too slick and poppy." And I totally think this song's a perfect example of that panel from that comic book, because the demo of this on the box set is amazing. And I fell in love with the demo on the box set. But yeah, I ranked it at number 4. I like it because it has that Gene solo feel. The demo feels like it's Gene and Paul just sitting in front of a 4-track. That's what it feels like. And it's got a very cool vibe to it.
Yeah, I agree. This album is very overproduced and very overpolished, and I'm not totally opposed to keyboards, because there's some songs on here the keyboards fits perfectly, and there's some it's just like, really, why? So anyway, number 10. What do you guys think, John? What do you think the panel was going to choose for number 10?
I predict the panel would pick You're All That I Want for number 10.
And I said She's So European.
All right. And I'm cheating off John's page right now, and I said that the panel's going to choose You're All That I Want also. Surprisingly, but yet not surprisingly, that's not what they chose. For number 10, at 369 points, the panel chose for number 10 Torpedo Girl. And just a lot of people, it's the lyrical content that got to them. But just from the comments that I saw, 2 panelists though, Party Man and Guitar Man, or Guitar Man, not guitar, Guitar Man and Party Man picked this as their favorite song. And me personally, I picked it as 7th. I like Torpedo Girl. I love the bass line in it, and I love the guitar in it, and I love that riff, that dun 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 dun. I love that riff. And that little interlude he does, that dun 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 dun, just it's good, but the lyrics, I thought I'd go out and take a swim today. But I mean, Torpedo Girl, I mean, we know what he's talking about. Come on, get your feet wet. I mean, he's, we know what torpedo he's talking about.
It's gonna be an X-rated panel.
Yeah, but I like it, but and it's Ace, and if anybody's gonna make a comical song on a Kiss album, it should be Ace. He's the only
yeah.
person that I feel like can make a comical song and get away with it. And he did it borderline on his album a lot with songs like Wiped Out and stuff like that. And Torpedo Girl is kind of like a Wiped Out for the Unmasked. It's the comical Yellow Submarine-ish type song for the album. But I choose it 7 on my list. So what about you, John?
I chose it higher up. I chose it as number 4. I'm a guitarist, so I appreciate that riff that Ace does. I mean, it's actually a pretty complicated riff, and it's I just love it. I love the guitar work in that song. But I agree, the lyrics are a little weak. I think Poncia, didn't Vinny Poncia co-write that with Ace? Yeah,
Vinny Poncia injected himself a lot on this album in the songwriting process.
So, I picked it at number 4, though, just because I just love that guitar riff and the bass. I mean, I think Ace played the bass on that as well, which he really showed his musicianship in Dynasty and Unmasked. I mean, he was playing all the guitars and the basses for most of the songs. I mean, I think he really, on Dynasty and Unmasked, he really came alive. I just wish some of the lyrical content was better on some of his songs on Unmasked. But I picked it as number 4.
Okay.
I picked it at number 10. Again, mainly for lyrical content. It's just kind of goofy. But I do like that the riff almost feels like a lead kind of like thing. And I always like that. My first memory, of course, would be my friend Danny, Sweet Dan 1970, learning this drum intro. As you know, that blew my mind because it's kind of very technical. Anton Fig. It's got that great tom hit. Yeah,
it's jazz, man. It's jazz. It really is. And then that bass line comes in.
And one thing I wanted to discuss with you guys, because I've never heard anything. Where did the intro come from? The siren and the man battle station torpedo, because like some Kiss fan has got to have tracked that down. Yeah. Does anyone know?
I don't know. You can tell it. You can tell it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I always thought it was Vinny Poncia, doing that part, man battleship torpedo, but maybe it's Ace. I don't know.
I've always wondered that, because around the same time as I'm diving into Kiss, like Dr. Feelgood was huge. And remember in Dr. Feelgood, there's that intro of Dr. Davis, telephone please, Dr. Davis. And I remember back then in the late 80s, Danny and I found that sound bit in a commercial. So I've always wanted to know like where this Torpedo Girl intro came from. Was it like a movie? Was it like a, just sound clip? But yeah, I ranked it at 10. Great music, great drumming, great bass playing. And like you said, Brant, it is kind of jazzy drums, but yeah, lyrical content wise, it's down for me.
Yeah. I think the intro where you hear the submarine sounds and then you hear the horns and then you hear the man battle station's torpedo, the very first man, it almost sounds like it's cut off.
Yeah.
It's almost like they just took 3 different sound bites, samples, and kind of meshed them together. So it would be kind of interesting to see where all this came from. It really would be. So that takes us up to number 9. And so, John, what did you predict the panel would choose? What did you predict they would choose for number 9?
Let's see. For number 9, I predicted the panel would choose Easy as It Seems.
And I predicted What Makes the World Go Round.
Okay. I thought that the panel was going to choose for number 9. I thought they were going to choose Naked City. And what the panel chose at 391 points at number 9, they chose Two Sides of the Coin.
Wow. I didn't think Ace songs would be this low.
Me either.
It blew my mind that Two Sides of the Coin was as low. Torpedo Girl, I could actually see it because of the lyrical content. I've heard that for years. People hate the lyrics to Torpedo Girl. But Two Sides of the Coin, I thought was a fan favorite on this album. And I thought the Ace songs in general were fan favorites on this album. But only one panelist picked Two Sides of the Coin as their favorite song. And that is John O. John O was the only one. And me, I love Two Sides of the Coin. I actually picked Two Sides of the Coin for me at number 3. I love this song. It's a rock song. Even though Vinny polished it up as best as he could, Two Sides of the Coin's a rock song. I love the way Ace sings it. And I love that the guitar solo is basically Anton Fig going off on doing all these fills on the toms. And I definitely learned how to play this when I was a kid. This was one of my favorite songs to play on the drums. And this is one of the songs that even though Peter was on the album cover, and I remember knowing that Peter was in bad shape during this time, you'd heard about the wreck, you'd known about some things, and I believed these albums were coming slower. And as a kid, I remember blaming Peter. I remember blaming it's because of Peter that they're not getting albums made fast enough because he can't get his crap together. And Peter didn't even play on this album and only played one song, reportedly on Dynasty. But I remember hearing Two Sides of the Coin for the very first time and going, nope, not Peter. I've never heard him play anything like that ever. Nope, not him. So I hate that Two Sides of the Coin is number 9. I picked it as number 3 for me. What about you, John? Where did you pick it for you?
For me, I picked Two Sides at number 6, right in the middle. I love that tune. It's got really tasty guitar riffs. I just love it. It's a great song. And Ace Frehley, he gets in the higher registers when he's singing that chorus.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a bad singer. I mean, I know a lot of people putting him down for his singing, but he wasn't that bad. I dug his voice. Mm-hmm. But I put it at number 6.
And I put it at number 9. I thought the panel was going to choose the Ace songs way higher. Personally, myself, it's number 9. It's a very cool song. This is almost Ace finding his gene in a way. Like those, I met some ladies, I met some girls. This is almost a Gene Simmons type lyrical song. But, man, great drum fills in that middle section. And this is one of those songs that makes you wish that Ace would have contributed to Creatures. Can you imagine how cool those songs would have been for that record?
Oh. But that would have been right in Ace's element.
If he'd just held on a little longer. If he'd just held on. Where they were going with Creatures and Lick It Up, I think when they took the makeup off, Ace would have been in his element, man. Because Ace hated the makeup. He hated putting it on. Peter at one point in time said that he hated putting it on. And heck, just me putting on each member's 4 times back in October, I couldn't imagine doing that day after day after day after day. It's a pain in the ass to do it. I do appreciate that they still put the makeup on for us, but Kiss is going to be Kiss to me whether they are unmakeupped or makeupped. It doesn't matter to me. All right. Okay. So now we are up to number 8. So, John, what'd you predict the panel would choose for number 8?
My pick for the panel for number 8 is She's So European.
I predicted the panel would choose Tomorrow.
Okay. My pick for number 8 that I thought the panel was going to predict, was Easy As It Seems. And what the panel actually chose at number 8, with breaking into the 400s at 404, is What Makes the World Go Round. And it shocked the shit out of me that What Makes the World Go Round beat Torpedo Girl and Two Sides of the Coin.
Yeah.
But some people, they love What Makes the World Go Round. It is very poppy. Four panelists, as a matter of fact, love it enough that it is their favorite song. Bill Sharp, Jack Skellington, Tony Rod, and Greek Freak. All love this song. It is pop at its best. It is bubblegum pop at its best. And it's funny that we think of bubblegum. Every time I think of bubblegum, I think of the little blow packs that came out, the chew bops that came out. And I had several of those. That's one of the things I'm going to recollect is I'm going to try to get a chew bop for Unmasked. But me, I picked this song 10th. It is one of the songs on the album. If they would have made this a 10-track instead of 11 tracks, they could have cut, as far as I'm concerned, they could have cut either What Makes the World Go Round or You're All That I Want, and I'd have been okay with it. Or cut both of them and made it just 9 tracks. But I don't hate it, but it's just not my... I found out what makes the world go round. But now I love the verse. And I love where Paul goes into that, where he sings his little falsettos, and it's even more of a prep for some of the falsetto work he would do in The Elder. But when it gets into that little chorus, man, it's just like it loses me. So what about you, John? Where'd you pick What Makes the World Go Round for you personally?
Personally, I put it last. I put it at number 11. I can't get past the chorus, just like you, Brent. It's so cornball. I mean, the verses are okay. I'll give you that. The verses are okay, but when you get to the chorus, it's just it sounds like something that could be in a soundtrack from some really bad early 80s movie.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah. I ranked this at number 8. I like this song. To me, it has like a Woolworths vibe, like a Woolco. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but it's very disco pop. It's very K-Tel to me. To me, it goes hand in hand. When I say Woolworths, it goes hand in hand with like the kind of lameness that the merchandising was taking in the 79 era. 79, 80 era. I mean, I love that merch, but it did get hokey and silly. And to me, this song sounds like that era perfectly. And I even put in my notes, it totally sounds like it could be like a montage in a like police academy movie or something.
And when you say K-Tel, I grew up in the K-Tel era, and when you say Woolworths, I totally get it. Music. Movie montage, totally. This is one that, like I said, I would have liked to have heard a demo of this and heard it in a raw form. So, up to number 7. And it's getting kind of interesting, guys, because we've had some contenders that I thought would have been up inside the top 5 that have already fallen prey. So it's going to only get more interesting as it goes. So we're up to number 7. So what about your prediction, John?
I said the panel was going to pick 2 sides of the coin for number 7. I really didn't think they'd pick it lower than that. I thought they would kind of keep it sort of the middle going into the end of it, but that's where I thought they would pick it.
Number 7, I thought the panel would choose You're All That I Want.
So I thought at number 7, the panel was going to choose Talk to Me. For whatever reason, I thought that was going to be the lowest picked Ace song. So far, it's looking like it's going to be, at some point in time, the highest picked, because we've already outed 2 of them. What they actually picked at 441 points is, at number 7, is She's So European. And 2 people, Brian Stacy and Sublime 130, picked it as their favorite. I picked She's So European as my number 4. For this to be a Gene song, and for this to be the content that's a Gene song, it's unusual. But I love She's So European. I've loved it since I was a kid, this is one of those songs that stirred up all kind of erotic thoughts in my head. This song is very visual to me. As soon as Gene starts singing, it's like the projector in my head comes on, and the soft porn starts. The Cinemax, Max After Dark starts playing. I'm telling you, man, I feel dirty right now. I just feel dirty in my own skin.
I think we all feel dirty.
But She's So European, man. This is the soundtrack for the 11-year-old soft porn in my head.
I could see this in a porn movie back in the early 80s, this song.
Yeah. But I love She's So European. I love this song. This song. What about you, John? Where did you pick my soft porn soundtrack?
Well, I picked it lower. I picked She's So European at number 9. I think I would have liked the song better if they would have just increased, Ace's guitar up a little bit more, or Paul's guitar up. The guitars are just way too down in the mix. And again, the hokey keyboards in there. I don't hate the song, but it falls at number 9 for me.
I chose it at number 5.
I see you grinning while you're doing it. You feel dirty right now, don't you?
The funny thing is, like, your comments are great, and I'm never going to be able to look at this album the same now. But as a kid, I was like, what does She's So European mean? Does that mean like she has like a bush? She shaves? Like what does that mean? And so as a 45-year-old man, I'm still kind of curious. It means bisexual, right? Is that what She's So European means?
I don't know really. I don't really know what it means. I think he's just trying to say that I always got out of it is she is trying to be chic. She's trying to be everything. She's trying to be European. Not that she is European, but like the part where he says she still speaks with an accent. So he's saying that she already speaks with an accent. She still speaks with an accent from her week. So in a week's time, she picked up an accent.
Okay. Yeah. I ranked it at number 5. I do like it. Yeah, to me, it was always kind of like a Christine 16 Part 2.
Yeah. I portrayed her as being young, too.
Yeah. And I also thought, Gene's marketing, Howard Marks' sort of mind, I think he thought this would be a hit in the overseas market, just from the title. But yeah, number 5 for me, and I do feel dirty after listening to you talk about this song.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take you a step further, and you're going to need a shower after this.
Okay. Now the funny thing was, I'm just going to tell all the panel this. Last night, Brant messaged me on Instagram and said, "I have a lot of thoughts on Unmasked. I can't wait to get out." Now we know.
It's confessional for me, man. I'm telling you. The worst and the kinkiest thoughts comes during the I wanna hold her tight all through the night. That whole part there, that the way I wanna take my time, and the way he's doing, and is that her screaming? And then it goes into that dirty, just little short couple bar solo. It's like maybe 3 or 4 bars. But I just love at the very end of it, Rick, where he says, and I think it's like I said, I think it's somebody that's trying to be chic and trying to be something they're not. Because he says that lyric, and we're not podcast or Shout It Out podcast. We don't break down and analyze songs here, but not too much. But he says, as she looks in your eyes, you see through her disguise.
Okay.
So I think he's just saying, you think you're European, but you're really not. I know who you are. But he does say she's one of a kind and out of her mind, so she's crazy. And you know how that crazy can be, and I'm going to leave that right there alone because I need a shower. So, yeah, let's move on past. So, we're at number 6. So, John, what did you predict the panel would choose for number 6?
I predicted the panel would choose Tomorrow for number 6. I thought they'd put it in the middle.
Okay.
Number 6. See, I'm all flustered. Number 6, I said Torpedo Girl.
Torpedo Girl. All right. Well, Rick, I cheated off yours on this one. I thought number 6, Torpedo Girl. I thought it'd be, even with panelists not liking the lyrical content, I thought since it was Ace, it would pull it higher. But I was wrong. We've all predicted this song lower. I think all three of us have predicted it lower, and it's finally coming in at number 6 with 462 points. The panel chose Easy as It Seems. And Easy as It Seems, we had 7 panelists: Eric Mosio, Dave Cranston, Zim, Dave Kenny, Demetrius K, Young and Wasted, Kiss Crazy 80 pick that as their number 1. I picked Easy as It Seems as number 6. For me, it's the first song outside of my top 5. My top 5 could have all been 1s or 2s. Easy as It Seems, to me, is a Paul Stanley construction. It could have been on his solo album. Some people hate the bongos. Being a drummer, I actually like the bongos. I'm okay with the keyboard, but I think it could have done without the keyboard because it actually has a keyboard solo before it has an actual guitar solo. I could have done without the keyboard in this, but keyboard being in it isn't what pulls it down for me. It's just I've got too many songs I like above it that I have to put it at number 6. So what about you, John? Where did you put Easy as It Seems?
Let's see. I put Easy as It Seems at number 8. It's just another one of those Paul Stanley songs that just doesn't do much for me. Easy as It Seems, when you're losing out on your dreams. I mean, not one of his best lyrics, so I put it at number 8.
I put Easy as It Seems at number 11. It's I agree. It feels like a Paul solo song. I love the keyboard solo. It's kind of cheesy, but so much fun. But yeah, it's not his greatest moment, I think, as a songwriter. But funny, kind of on the porn thing. There's a picture in History of the Unmasked tour, and there's a picture of Paul like sitting on like a road case, and this like gorgeous blonde is like hanging on him, and he seems so like disinterested, but the girl is gorgeous, and I've always associated like this song is about that girl, even though he didn't meet this girl until Australia, but that's kind of my little brand perversion of this record.
This song has more of those sexual images. I hear you sleeping with one of my friends. Tell me why. But I see you crying without any tears like a child. I love some of the. It's not his best lyrical work, but he still has some gems that shines in it.
Good imagery.
Good. He has some good imagery in it. So that brings us to the top 5, and it's going to get interesting. And so, John, top 5, number 5 prediction for you.
I predicted the panel would choose Torpedo Girl as number 5. I thought they were gonna put it in the top 5. I was wrong.
Yeah, and I predicted Two Sides. I thought that would be in the top 5.
Yeah. I predicted number 5. I predicted wrongly, but I predicted that they were going to choose She's So European. I thought that they would like it just a little more than I did, and it would be one of the Gene songs that would get stuck in the top. But at number 5, with 542, so we jumped into the 500s. We went from 462 points with Easy As It Seems at number 6 to 542 points. So there's definitive separation between the top 5 and the rest. So people are starting to solidify in what they really like. At number 5 with 542 points, the panel chose the third and final Ace song, Talk to Me. So Ace song didn't make it higher than number 5.
That's crazy.
7 panelists, Colin Paradise, D88 Racing, John Gross, Emily Graziano, Dwight Manning, Keith Nudu, and one other picked this as their number 1 song. I picked it 9th. And before I get stones threw at me because I thought you drunk the blue Kool-Aid. I love this song. I adore it, except for the chorus gets a little long because it's talk to me, talk to me. I'd be okay if he didn't say that too much, but they repeat the chorus a lot. And at the end, where they're just doing the talk to me, he, talk to me, he, talk to me, he. It just gets, I'm just like, oh my God, just talk to the man. Just talk to him, okay? It's like water torture. It's like dropping on my head. It's like, just talk to him. But yeah, so the chorus and the repeat of the chorus at the end just kind of does it for me. But I love the verse. I love the solo. That it sounds like it's. You're the guitarist, John. It sounds like it's a little bit of a slide there at the beginning. Some slide guitar work going on there at the beginning. So what about you, John?
Well, it's my favorite. It's my number 1, and it always has been. The first time I heard it, I listened to, the first time I listened to it was when I was 6 years old. So I don't really remember too much about it back then. But when I bought it again on cassette tape, and I think it was 1986 by the time I bought it again, I started out listening right from the first song. And then once you get to Talk to Me, it's like, oh, thank God, rock and roll is back again. It's like, thank you, Ace, for putting some rock and roll on this album. And I love it. I love the ending, the Talk to Me. I love it. I just love the whole song. I love the guitar solo. I just think I think if there's pop perfection on this album, I think it's Talk to Me. I love the song.
Now, are we going to get an Unmasked cover from you on your channel? A guitar cover?
If I were to do one, it would be Talk to Me. So maybe I'll do that soon.
I'm looking forward to that. Soon. I ranked Talk to Me at number 6. When I first heard this song, we were watching VHS bootlegs like crazy, and Inner Sanctum was one of them. And so this is huge in that. So I did like it. And I also loved, at the beginning, that very first guitar riff and verse, you can take your balance on your stereo and move it to the left, and you just hear kind of like the keyboard with his vocals, and then you can move it to the other side and get the guitar with his vocals. I love doing that as a kid. That was always fun. Still do it to this day. But yeah, number 6 for me.
Okay, number 4. What's your prediction for number 4, John?
I'd say I predict the panel would pick Is That You at number 4.
I said the panel will choose Naked City.
Okay. Number 4, I thought they were going to choose Two Sides of the Coin. What the panel actually chose at 585 points at number 4 is Tomorrow. 13 panelists: AJ Zetro, 1975, Jay Spence Metal, Gregory Pegg, Darren Helliwell, David King, Sean DeHaan, Ace Van Deuce, Matt Utwat, Trevor Bolick, Les Wadley, Michael D, 3SV 1333, and Indie Colt 777 picked Tomorrow as their number 1. and I picked Tomorrow as my number 2. I absolutely love Tomorrow. It is one of my favorite Paul Stanley songs, and I know that it is polished pop. I know that it is bubblegum. It is as bubblegum as the Chew Pops. And it is, but it is a Paul Stanley constructed song. And Tomorrow is one of the songs that whenever I'm driving down the road and this song comes on, it gets turned up. And if it's warm enough outside, even the week I was listening to this, we had a kind of a warm Indian summer day come through, and the temperatures was relatively mild. I opened the moonroof on my Mini. I rolled my windows down. I was blasting Tomorrow. I didn't even turn it down when I got stopped at red lights and other cars had their windows beside me, and I was singing right along with it. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. It's a great, and I know it's pop, and I know it's got keyboards and it's got sound effects and all that other kinds of stuff in it. But it's a great Paul Stanley song, so I picked it as my number 2. So what about you guys, John?
Well, I put it right around the middle. I put it at number 7. It is a really good construction. You know, it's another Paul Stanley construction. I'll give him credit for that. It was constructed really well. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't get into the hand claps. But I could see this song on his solo album. It's definitely got a Paul solo album sound to it.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, Brant. Number 2 for me. Almost was number 1 in my book. This is classic Paul Stanley. It's got the Turn on the Night hook, the Tomorrow and Tonight. It's got that sort of vibe. It's bubblegum rock, but it's beautiful. I love the hand claps after I didn't know just what to say. To me, they sound like pool balls in a queue.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm around a pool table, I always sing that line. This song is just so much fun. This is pure rock and roll fun, and I love it.
Awesome. You'll stay my friend for another week. Nah, I'm just kidding. All right, so number 3, let's get down and dirty. They're going to punch it out all the way to number 1. Tightens up here. So, number 3, what's your prediction, John?
Number 3, I predicted the panel would pick Shandy.
Okay.
I said the exact same. Shandy at number 3.
Okay. I predicted Tomorrow is what they were going to pick Tomorrow. So at 594 points, at number 3, the panel has chosen Shandy. 13 panelists: Frederick Shalin, Ray Kelly, Steve, Sam Loomis, That Toy Bonnie Guy, Sandy Graziano, Dwam SB, Darklight, Jay Lee, Matthew Smith, Paul Bortolino, Aiden Pro Dalton, all picked this as Shandy as their number 1 song. And despite the fact that a lot of people says that this isn't a Kiss song because no member of Kiss performed on it other than Paul. No member of Kiss performed on some of Ace's songs other than Ace.
Yep.
Little double standard there. But I don't drink that much blue Kool-Aid. But Shandy is my number 1 song on this album. I have loved Shandy since the day I heard it when I was 11 years old. It is and always will be my favorite song on this album, with Tomorrow nudging right up next to it at all times. Paul, I love Ace's songs on this album, but I would keep Unmasked just for Shandy and Tomorrow. To me, I love Shandy, and I just can't say enough about it. So what about you, John? Where did you pick Shandy for you?
I was right with the panel. picked it at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably my favorite Paul Stanley ballad, and I just wish that it would have been so much better if he would have had this song on his solo album other than what's that song? What was the Hold Me Touch Me? I'd rather have Shandy than Hold Me Touch Me.
Mind your manners there, John.
I'm sorry.
I'm in your camp, John.
I'm just playing.
It's just a great song. I mean, it's constructed so well. I even love the keyboards. I mean, the keyboards kind of make the song, and I don't know who plays the keyboards in that song. I don't think it was Vinnie Ponce. I think it was somebody else.
It was a female. It was a female. I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But Paul played the solo.
Great song.
Paul played the solo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Paul can solo better than people thinks he can.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Hold Me Touch Me, the solo at the end, one of my favorite Paul Stanley solos. I love it. It's a great solo at the end.
I chose this at number 3. I'm with you, Brant. From the first time I heard it, I loved it. I'm very seasonal when it comes to music, and Unmasked is a very spring record. And so April comes around, you got to make a batch of strawberry Kool-Aid, and you have to listen to Unmasked. And Shandy is the first song I go to. And I'm sure as a little kid drummer, you had to love the intro to this song. And speaking of the keyboards, I love that last line, when we should say goodbye. Those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's, and then that great drum fill again. I mean, sold.
Yeah.
Love this song.
Yep. Shandy, I kind of thought about something, and it kind of gave me chills while I was thinking about it, listening to you guys talk. Shandy to me it's like, this is a song that has stuck with me more than the album itself as a whole has.
Mm-hmm.
Shandy, on more than one occasion since I was 11 years old, and even into later adult years, I'm talking like in my 20s, Shandy has been like one of those pills that I have taken to console me during a breakup. It has been a breakup consoler, a soundtrack to a breakup. I mean, just the opening line, cold chills. I just can't pretend no more. I keep running out of lies. Loving you is killing me inside. I'm out right there. I mean, it's just that's amazing. Every time I try to find the words to end it, something in your eyes won't let it. I mean, it's just, it is genius. If you cannot appreciate the musical style of it, you got to appreciate the song itself as a song. And see, I get choked up. Yeah, this song has consoled me during many a breakup and during many a relationship going bad or something like that. Like I said, all the way back till, and I've had plenty of them, all the way back to when I was a kid. So, yeah, it's that, and that's why it's one of those, Rick, we've talked about, you have songs that they become a part of you. You just don't like them, but they become a part of you. Mm-hmm. And Shandy is one of those songs to me. It goes beyond just being a song.
Yeah, it's like in your it's like in your DNA. And
it becomes a part of you. So, all right, top 2. So we're gonna, by process of elimination, if you've been playing along. And guys, let me tell you, just a little break right here. I really love the fact that you guys share your comments down in the video for this, talking about you guys playing along. People send me stuff. The stuff that you PM me, if you don't mind, post it in comments. I know you can't post pictures in comments, but you can post pictures on social media and stuff like that, where people send me their predictions and they're like, oh, I predicted so many out of this correctly. Share that with other people. You just don't have to share that with me if you don't mind, because it's really cool to see the panel and the community around the panel as a whole sharing in things like this. It's just really cool. So, and I love it when you guys do that. It's great. So top 2, Mr. John, who do you predict? What do you predict number 2 is going to be?
Well, I thought the panel was going to choose Talk to Me as number 2. I thought they were going to put it up there in the top two. That's where I picked it.
Okay.
Or that's where I picked the panel.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. I thought Talk to Me was going to be way higher. I picked it at number 2.
Okay. I predicted that they were going to choose, just because of things I've heard over the years about this song. I thought that the panel was going to choose for number 2. I thought they were going to choose Is That You? And once again, a lot of people caught flack over this. They said they didn't like this song. They didn't like Is That You because it was a cover song. And I'm like, there's a lot of Kiss songs are cover songs. And, you can't. But anyway. So at number 2, jumping into the 600s, top 1 and 2 really separated themselves. 656 points. Number 2, the panel chose Is That You? So I picked right. 14 panelists, Kiss posters, Tony P., Sweet Dan, Jeff Wyatt, Chris from Pot of Thunder, Horror Susan, Paul Teplius, Frank DeGraff, Jay Reed, Joel Pegg, Mark Stewart, Tom S., Two Gay Dads, Vapor Man picked Is That You as their number 1 favorite song on the album. I picked Is That You as number 5. It's in my top 5. It could just as easily be 3 or 4. It's not going to be 1 or 2, but it could be 3 or 4. Because I like this. Even though it's got pop all over it and it's really polished, it's still rock. And I love the way it comes in hot. Paul just going, ow, and it coming in. Yeah. I love Paul pulling his best Elvis impression on this. On the bus tool. I don't know what all he was doing, but he sang in a way that I'd never heard Paul sing before. And I loved it. I loved Gene coming in on the Is That You Crawling Up My Stairs? Great solo. And I think it's the best way. It's the best way to start this album. I couldn't think of any other song on here that I would start this album with. And I remember liking it the first time I heard it. So for me, it's number 5. What about for you, John?
I put it the same as you. I put it as number 5. I love that song. I mean, before I knew it was a cover, back when I was listening to it in the 80s, I didn't realize it was a cover. And I always thought the opening line, cats drooling on the bar stool, I thought he was making a reference to Peter Criss leaving the band. Because that's right around the time where I kind of knew, I think we figured out in some magazine that Peter didn't drum on Unmasked. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was like a little sly line that Paul was putting in there. But now I know it's not because it was written by some other guy. Mm-hmm. But I love that song. I love everything about it. So it's number 5 for me.
I ranked it at number 7. It's just never been one of my favorites. Growing up with Sweet Dan 1970, I mean, he loves this song and would just play it all the time. The only part I really dig of this song is that bridge. You always get I love that. Mm-hmm. But it's a fun song, and I don't think, I never thought when I first listened to this record, I never thought like, oh, this doesn't sound like Kiss. To me, it sounded like a Kiss song, and to learn it was a cover was kind of mind blowing. But it's always fun to learn those facts because Kiss has that ability to take someone else's material and make it theirs.
Mm-hmm. And I know this probably isn't popular opinion, but to me, you could have stuck Is That You on Dynasty. It would to me Is That You would have fit on Dynasty. Mm-hmm. All right, so if you've been playing along at home, by process of elimination which song is number 1. So, but we're going to go ahead and do our predictions. So, John, what did you predict the panel was going to choose for number 1?
I predicted the panel would choose the best Gene song on the album, Naked City, in my opinion.
I predicted the panel was going to choose Is That You?
Okay. I predicted the panel was going to choose Shandy because I just wanted it to be number one. But I know a lot of people don't like it, so I knew I could not. I don't know. Like I said, I put myself in my prediction, but at 681 points, very definitively, the panel chose, and to me, surprisingly, when I tallied this, and I was like, "What?" Surprisingly, the panel has chose 681 points. Number one, Naked City from Gene. 15 panelists: Mark Hilliard, Tom Dust, Vincent Maroon, author, Julian Davies, Exile on My Street, Aladio, Brady McCatherine, Jeremy Kimona, Nina Kay, Perpetual Art, Travis Mulgard, John Howard, Orville Dunworth, George Doley, Kiss, Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, all chose Naked City as their number one song. And for me, I picked Naked City surprisingly low at number 8. But that does not mean that I don't like this song. Naked City to me is another one of those songs that really I didn't get when I was a kid because I heard the song Naked. And I remember there was a point in time that my aunt was the one who bought this album for my sister. And she told us, she looked at it and she's like, I don't want y'all listening to Naked City. And so we're like, okay. And of course, that's probably, I think, the first song we went to. But then I didn't get it. I didn't get the metaphors and the references when I was 11 years old. Where at the very beginning, all the people have turned to stone. No one's happy. They're all alone. I'm like, what does that have to do with being naked? I don't get it. But then older women with younger men, I got that feeling I'm in trouble again. Yeah, I like me an older woman. So hello, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. I was like, this one of my, even though the metaphors are not quite there as much as some of the other songs.
11-year-old Brant's door slowly closes.
Yeah, but I was in middle school at the time. Think I might have had my first sex ed class by this time. And I knew what things looked like. I can tell you, I feel dirty. I'm gonna need a bath.
You're gonna have to title this like Unmasked. UNMXXXED.
Yes. I'm gonna have to put a little disclaimer at the very beginning of it. Warning: soft pornographic images portrayed.
Warning: Brant pulls back the curtain.
Brant lets you
Not
in hit
for children.
Yeah, in my head is not always a very clean place to be. So what about you, John? Where'd you pick Naked City?
I struggled with this because I went back and forth between Talk to Me and Naked City for number one, and I put Naked City at number two. It's like to me, Gene didn't show up as the demon on this album until Naked City. You see the demon in there. You're All That I Want and She's So European. You don't see the demon in that.
I agree.
But Naked City is such a great song. It's well constructed. I think he co-wrote that with, is it Bob Kulick? Yeah. And I think it's a great song. Probably a song that could have been on Gene's solo album. But I put it number two for me.
Absolutely number one for me. Best song on this record. That bass line alone is so good and so much fun. It's almost like you can sing the bass line. And this is, I said this before in Dynasty, this is Dracula demon. This isn't the vampire demon. This is the Dracula demon, the kind of seductive demon. And Man, that bass line. A couple of months ago, a clip came out of a Japanese fan playing this song on like an axe bass, and it was so good. I just applauded that fan to the highest mountain. So much fun, that bass line, and my absolute favorite song from this record.
But yeah, so that closes the dirty chapter on Unmasked. But that wraps it up. And I remember being a kid, they didn't even tour for this album because I was ready to go see them on tour again. After seeing them on tour for Dynasty when I was 10, I would not see them on tour again until they toured for Creatures, because they didn't tour in America for Unmasked. They didn't tour at all for The Elder. They did promotions and stuff like that, but they didn't tour. So, and then they did a very limited tour for Creatures. If you didn't catch them early on, you didn't catch them, period. But so the next album we're going to be moving on to is The Elder. And so by the time you see this video, the post will be out there to get in your lists for The Elder. And the way we're going to do The Elder is The Elder has an intro at the beginning, the fanfare. We are going to combine fanfare and Just a Boy together. So put the two of them together and vote how you would do that. Don't let the fanfare, if you don't like the fanfare, but you really like Just a Boy, then just grade it on that. Don't let it pull you down. But on the thing, I'm going to have fanfare / Just a Boy. And then I've already had people are apparently excited for The Elder, because I've already had people asking me, how are we going to do what? And there's a spoken track at the end after we're not going to count that at all. It's not a song. And I almost didn't count fanfare, but I figured, well, I'll just stick fanfare at the beginning, because to me, in my brain, I listen to those two songs, fanfare and Just a Boy. I listen to the two of them kind of together as one big song. And so that's how I want us to grade it. So anyway, get your lists in. And be sure to comment down in the comment section what you think about how everything fell for Unmasked. And that's all that we've got. So, John, you got any closing thoughts on the panel or on Unmasked in general?
I guess my only closing thought on Unmasked is, yeah, as a kid, I really wish that they would have had one Peter Criss vocal. I know that, looking back now in retrospect, I mean, Peter was just too far gone at this point. But I think it would have really added something to the album just to have one Peter Criss vocal. Did you realize that when you were, how old were you in 1980 when Unmasked came out, Brant?
I was 11. I was 11.
Did you realize that he wasn't on that album when you first got it?
Not when I first got it, no. But the rumors had been flying around that Peter... I kind of came to that conclusion on my own. But then I remember reading in 16 or in Circus or in one at Hit Parade or in one magazine where there was an article where Peter was actually on a hiatus and he wasn't actually participating in the recording of... he didn't participate in the recording of Unmasked and wasn't going to be participating in any future recordings. And they fired him on the day of the closing of the Shandy video. Yeah. When that shoot wrapped, they fired him, and we've all heard the story where he was left alone in the dressing room. And I mean, that's just a sad way for a career with a band to end. But in a lot of ways, he did it to himself. Rick, you got a closing thought on Unmasked?
No, other than this is the one album I wish there was a box set for. I think the demos for this would be amazingly fun. And John, it was incredibly cool to meet you. And
nice meeting you, Rick. And thanks, Brant, for having me on.
Yeah, and no problem. I totally, I'm looking forward to Talk to Me as a cover from you. So
definitely,
I'm going to do it.
Get on that.
You put them on your YouTube channel, John? Okay, well, everybody check out John B. Goode's.
He did a, I was
going to say, everybody check out John B. Goode's YouTube channel and check out his videos.
Mm-hmm. You did a cover or a demo the last time, right?
Yeah, because I got the inspiration for that one because you were talking about how you had a band when you were a kid, and I um, dug up my old demo that we did in a 4-track studio when I was, probably 15 years old or so back in 1990. I put that on my channel, and it was just kind of cool just to listen to, what we did as kids back in the early 90s, when you thought that you could make it as a musician,
Those are the good days.
Yeah.
That takes some dedication right there, man. You just have to pretty much, in the beginning, you have to be married to that music career, that is your mistress, your lover, and your wife all combined into one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, guys, since speaking of mistress, wife, and lovers, before I open the soft porn box back up, we're going to keep it closed. We're going to keep it closed, and we're going to end this video. So, thanks to my partner in crime, Rick, and our special guest, John B. Goode. Check out these two guys' channel. Be sure to give them a subscription. And be on the lookout for that post for the Elder and get your list in. All right, that's all I've got for today. Brant from In My Head channel. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.